Hi guys, official results of autopsy of George Floyd was recently released, and most of the newspapers said that the official cause of death was homicide. It sounds strange because just a couple of days ago they said that the autopsy found no physical finding that supports a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. Let's try to understand why have they changed their opinion. For the private autopsy, on which I've made a video pretty recently, they held a press conference where people were able to ask some questions and understand how do they come up to certain findings. Unfortunately for the official autopsy, the guy just announced the results and then just refused to answer to any questions. The only piece of information we have is the document called press release. It's not by any chance a full report which will go to the court, but it's enough to do some conclusions. Let's read it together. Cause of death: cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint and neck compression. Basically, he died of heart attack. However, there were three factors which complicated that heart attack. The only interesting thing is, of course, neck compression. Now, we all have seen from the video that there was some force applied to the neck. The question is, was it significant force or not? I wish I could get a full report or ask these examiners, but I think if Floyd was strangled, they would mention this as the first reason of death. And here instead it's mentioned as the last item of contributing factors. Again, the question is were there any physical damage? This report doesn't mention anything. However, if you watch my previous video about private autopsy made by Bogdan, you can see that his evidence of strangulation is based solely on the video evidence. There were no any physical evidence provided except some scratches on face, which are unrelated. Therefore, if there was something physical there, they would have mentioned this in Bogdan's report. So my interpretation of that phrase that Floyd got a heart attack and police, instead of releasing him and helping him, restrained his moves, including his neck area, potentially affecting his breathing, which accelerated death caused by heart attack. Could policemen saved his life? We don't know for sure, but most likely it would have prolonged his life before the ambulance arrival. And definitely chances of survival would have been much higher. Let's move on to the next thing. A manner of death: homicide. Again, there is no explanation where is this coming from. And since homicide is a legal term, not the medical one, I assume this is not related to autopsy. It's just medical examiner opinion. And actually at the bottom of the document you can see the following. A manner of death classification is a statutory function of a medical examiner as a part of death certification for purpose of vital statistics and public health. Manner of death is not a legal determination of culpability or intent and should not be used to usurp the judicial process. Such decisions are outside of the scope of the medical examiner's role or authority. Basically, the translation is the following. Autopsy haven't revealed any physical damage which led to death, and they as medical examiners have their families and they don't want to be shot by peaceful protesters. Plus you've all seen the video, so their opinion is that this was homicide. Next phrase. How injury occurred. Descendant experienced a cardiopulmonary arrest while being restrained by law enforcement officers. Again, pretty clear there were no strangulation implied. Other significant conditions: arteriosclerotic and hypertensive heart disease, fentanyl intoxication, recent methamphetamine use. You've probably heard that private autopsy haven't found any disease related to his heart, but as I mentioned in my previous video, the problem why they couldn't find this because they didn't have any access to the vital organs like heart, because these organs are stored at the physician of the first autopsy. Therefore, I believe that claims from the official autopsy are credible. Fentanyl intoxication. If you don't know what is fentanyl, it's basically a very strong drug, which is very similar to heroin by his effects. We can read about various signs and symptoms. For example, a rapid heartbeat, chest tightness, mood changes, poor balance or coordination, hallucinations, abnormal thoughts. With all this vital information, we can finally explain why Floyd fell so many times on security cam videos. Also, we can explain why he was crying before the arrest. And we can safely assume that police wanted to put Floyd inside the car. And we know that he probably had hallucinations, abnormal thoughts, and mood changes. I can clearly see how this can be resulted into the final fight, which is still not available on any of the public video. Now, let's talk about overdose. As you can read on Wikipedia, in 2018, fentanyl was the most common listed opioid in overdose drug death, surpassing heroin. The reason for this is that you need a very little dose of the drug to cause an overdose, and it's very easy to confuse this drug with something else. And then on the same Wikipedia, you can read about notable deaths. For example, musician Prince, American rapper Lil Peep, Tom Petty, and Mac Miller. All these people died of heart attack caused by this drug. Again, we don't know from that report how much drug was taken. I hope they will clarify this in the future, but I think it's pretty clear that it was a little bit too much. Okay, the last one, recent amphetamine use. This is probably unrelated because it could mean that he took amphetamine like a week ago or something. I think we can safely dismiss that evidence. Now let's try to reconstruct what actually happened. George Floyd had some heart condition and got intoxicated with fentanyl. Due to intoxication, he behaved in a very unusual way. Probably had some hallucinations or strange thoughts. Police managed to identify that he was on drug and they probably tried to put him inside the car against his will. Due to his unstable emotional condition related to drug, he might have become a little bit aggressive and police decided to calm him down with force, perhaps even for his own safety. Unfortunately, due to the stress caused by the police arrest and drug effect, George Floyd got a heart attack. Police couldn't realize that because they thought that he is on drugs and he cannot be trusted. For me, it's a very unfortunate drug-related accident. Nonetheless, police did it wrong when he said he cannot breathe. They should have stopped, release him and check what's going on no matter what. But again, I don't see here any racial prejudice. Instead, I see some prejudice against people who are on drugs. Now, the question I have, why 99% of the world still believe that this was a racially motivated murder? Here are my thoughts. First, fast reaction. Video was released right after the accident and it was spread through social networks so quickly. Media and activists put a clear emphasis that Floyd was unarmed, he didn't do any crimes, and the policeman basically was standing on his neck. And the angle of recording helped a lot here. And my first understanding of this video was exactly like this. Second, police knew much more of the details, but they decided not to release any of them. Just said, oh, you know, we may have some special evidence and this officer maybe is not guilty. And this gave activists even more power to say that police trying to cover up the officer. Because this case got a nationwide and then worldwide attention, the preliminary autopsy results were delayed. And at the point where these results were leaked, public opinion was too strong and it could not be changed. And it actually gave another power to protesters to say that these autopsy results will be forged, and they had to order a private autopsy. Fourth, private autopsy was rushed. They didn't expect all the vital organs, they haven't got any toxicology results, but still they decided to release their preliminary findings. At that point, public fully trusts Michael Biden, and they completely omit the fact that all that private autopsy is solely based on the video evidence, not on the physical one. Fifth, official results of autopsy was released without any comments because of certain security concerns and public pressure. And at that point, there is absolutely no way public opinion can be changed. Next time, police should hire a professional PR agency to handle those kind of complicated cases. In our world, facts don't matter anymore. The only thing which matters is presentation. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment because you can always challenge my opinion. I'm open to that. And don't forget to like or dislike and subscribe. Bye!